Peace. Welcome back. Want me in the camera? Hey, say hey. All right. So I'm just gonna go in. I was watching a video, and somebody had already told me about this incident, but I was watching a video on YouTube where basically they were, it was like a YouTube channel, and they were talking about Rawvana and how she had got caught up eating fish, and basically another blogger videotaped her eating fish, and basically it became a whole thing, you know, it blew up, and now everybody's basically just talking down to her, you know, because of what she did, you know. And I wanted to talk on it and give my opinion on it, because I feel like it's deeper than that. It's not just surface level, because you got to look at it from all different perspectives. But this is a good opportunity for me to share something that I've been noticing in the so-called conscious community for a very long time, and it's a moment of reflection, you know, because I myself, you know, I was a raw vegan strictly for about 3 years. When I say strict, I mean 100% strict. Like, I was not put a morsel of cooked food in my body, even if it was vegan, you know. So for me, that was what I was about, you know. That was my belief system, you know, and I stuck strongly to it, you know. So, and when I see a lot of people online going through the same thing, I just kind of reflect on it now and look back as a, because what it is really is just, it's a cult. Like veganism, all these dietary restrictions, even paleo, low fat, whatever you want to categorize yourself as, is become a cult. People's belief system has developed so strongly that they're willing to take extreme actions and do extreme things because they wrap their whole identity around a dietary restriction. Like, the only reason that Rawvana was that this situation came about was because people like that, and like I used to be, put their whole identity and they wrap it around this dietary restriction, so it becomes a part of their identity. And then when they blow up and they start getting money and income out of it, it turns into a lucrative business opportunity. And by then it's like too late. Like, now you gotta stick to what you've been telling people, because if you go back, then people are gonna look at you like, but why are you telling us to eat vegan if you're over here eating fish? Now it's too late. Now you put yourself in a box. And this is what I realized I was doing. I was putting myself in a box. And I made it a conscious choice to not put myself in a box anymore, to break all labels in anything that could put me in that situation in the future, you know, because although I've gone through things and done extreme things and held extreme beliefs, you know, within my time as sharing information, I don't hold on to it to that extent anymore, because I realize what it is, you know. Everybody's going through experiences. Like, people experience veganism or raw veganism and they have a good experience with it, and they automatically expect themselves to be a lifelong participator in this dietary restriction, you know. So they immediately close themselves off. And then I was never a vegan that was for moral, ethical issues against animals, although that is something that's important to me. That's not the reason why I went vegan. So I was always more on the health conscious side. So it was always about health, because I felt like if I could have the best health, then I would reverberate that back into my reality, which would include proper and fair treatment of animals, without being said, you know. But I feel like it all starts with the self. Unless you got yourself straight, unless you got your health in order, it doesn't matter how moral, ethical you are, you're never going to be able to really give out what you can't give to yourself. So even if you're a vegan that's not eating healthy, you're not really treating yourself right, and you're an animal. That's why I look at it. If you're vegan and you're not eating healthy for yourself, then you're really not for the ethical treatment of animals, because you're the being that you are, which is an animal, is not even being nourished properly. So it's like veganism can be a paradoxical situation in some cases when people are not giving their body what it truly needs, you know? So I was raw vegan 3.5 years, fasted, did all of that, you know, went very extreme, detoxed as much as I could using herbs, enemas, colonics, flushes, liver flushes, herbs, all of that, like really, really, really hard, like on a level that most people wouldn't even, you know, want to think about because it's uncomfortable. But at the end of all that, I still came back to I came like full circle to the point where when we landed in Hawaii, I was like, you know what? I was already questioning like things. I'm like, veganism, like what is veganism? Because I had made a video called Veganism is a Byproduct of Civilization. And basically what I was saying in that video is that the reason people even have the opportunity to be vegan is because of Babylon, what we call civilization. Because we have so much access to resources, we have so much access to food. People find it very easy to be vegan. And so it becomes like a self-righteous thing where people are like, oh, you shouldn't be eating this, or you still eat animals, like, but in my opinion, it was always like, no, you can't be against civilization or against Babylon and be in the box of veganism completely, because you have to realize that native cultures and indigenous people ate from their environment and they didn't discriminate if the food was animal-based or plant-based, or if it was fungal-based or bacteria-based, whatever the four kingdoms are, they didn't discriminate. They were eating from their environment, non-discriminating, you know. But so the thought of being vegan, it's like I would always picture like there's this guy in a tribe, right? And the men, the warriors go out to hunt, and they hunt this big deer or a buffalo or bison or something like that. And then as they're preparing the meat, and they cook it, they offer this person a piece of meat, and then the person is like, oh, I don't eat that, I'm vegan. And I always thought like that'd be ridiculous, right? But in modern times, like people could do that because we have so much access to food. You don't even realize how abundant and how easy things are for you nowadays, that you have the ability to even be vegan, because most vegan products are really processed. So there's a lot of processed vegans, and there's a whole industry that has learned to capitalize off of this movement called veganism. And so my point with that is that you can't allow yourself to be boxed in, and you can't limit yourself to a dietary restriction for the rest of your life, because like Bruce Lee said, we must be like water. We must be able to adjust and adapt to a situation. So you might find out later on down the road, or they might discover something about nutrition that might give you some insight into something that can help you, but you're boxing yourself in because you already decided that you want to be part of a cult called veganism. So be careful with how you decide to box yourself in, and if possible, don't box yourself in. Just allow yourself to be open and receptive and tapped into the instinct of your body's needs. Because in a time where this isn't available, where restaurants ain't available, where health food markets ain't available, where farmers markets are no longer existent, you're not gonna be able to sustain so easily a dietary restriction that is now very accessible in this time and age, you know. But just keep that in mind, you know. And like I said, you don't have to go carnivore. You don't have to eat a bunch of meat, you know. But you have to keep your mind open to the possibilities, you know, because like I said, there might come a time where you might be faced with that challenge, and you're gonna have a hard time letting that go, because you already wrapped your identity, who you believe you are as a person, to an ideology that isn't sustainable for all of humanity long term, you know. So just keep that in mind. And also I want to say, people think that just because you eat meat, like if I said right now, oh yeah, I eat meat, people's imagination will go to, well, that person probably eats 3 meals a day of mostly meat. But it's like one extreme, right? Because you could also eat meat like indigenous people do in South America, where they might eat meat like once a week because that's what's available in their environment. They might hunt an animal or some prey once a week, and they have that meat. So don't be so extreme with it. You know, just because somebody eats meat doesn't mean that they're eating it 24/7, and it doesn't have to be you as well. Like if you make that choice, you could still be refined in your approach, in your dietary approach, without being extreme. Like if you eat meat, make sure you're eating the best local, possibly wild harvested fresh meat that you could find, and then limit yourself to a couple times a week, or maybe once a week, or once a month even, you know. But it doesn't have to be all or nothing kind of thing, you know. You could still be flexible and be open. That's the thing with these cults, these dietary cults, that they go all the way extreme. That if you either 100% plant-based, or you're 100% animal-based, and there's no in between, and that's just not even logical. Because if you were truly in tune with your environment, you would know that all the kingdoms, animal, plant, fungal, and bacteria kingdoms exist in the environment, and they all live harmoniously in the environment. If you were in tune with that environment for real, you wouldn't even be looking at it like, oh, let's try to only eat plants. You would just eat really what's available, and even astrologically, things would manifest as you needed them. If you were really in tune, you might stumble on meat just at the time when your body needed it, you know, and things would flow the way the universe has it ordained, rather than you trying to force something on you every single day because of an ideology that you made up. So now you're like every single day trying to give yourself the same food, the same nutrition, because you think that sticking by that is going to give you the best results, but you're not even listening to your body at that point. Now you're just giving yourself the same thing every single day, day after day, and you've lost conscious awareness of your body's needs. So what if your body's telling you that one day, and it doesn't even have to be animal based, but say your body one day tells you you need to eat more fat. Well, you're low fat, high carb, so you can't even do that because you got to eat low fat and high carb, and it doesn't matter what your body wants. It doesn't matter what your body needs. None of that matters, because you joined the cult of low fat, raw vegan people, and you must stick through it till the end. See, so it's ridiculous, you know, when you really think about it, because that's not realistic in nature. Nothing in nature is, you don't want to know how nature works. Nature is opportunistic. Nature is in tune. So whatever is in an environment for a certain species, if they have the capacity to harvest and consume it, and they stumble upon it within their daily routine or whatever they're doing in that day, they will take advantage of that opportunity, because in nature, everything is opportunistic, because you don't know when you might get your next meal. See, they don't have grocery stores, so they don't know if they're going to be able to come to Whole Foods and pick up the vegan wrap that they have every single day, you know. So when I look into nature and I think about the people teaching to be in tune with nature and all of that, I think about that, you know. I think, well, that's not really in tune with nature, you know, because if you were really in tune with nature, you wouldn't be able to be a part of a dogma. You wouldn't be able to lock yourself into a box, because you'd be going with the flow of nature, and along with that flow comes anything and everything that your body needs to sustain itself. And everything is energy, and just like the plant energy that you put into your body, the animal energy is energy as well. And everything is living that we take from the earth that we put into our body. So we can try to discriminate, we could try to apply our consciousness and our morals and ethics into nature, but nature don't give a fuck. Nature don't care. Nature is just is. And this is what me and Serenity were talking about. Stop trying to be conscious and just be. When you tap into that just being state and you go with the flow of nature and you allow yourself to attune to that, that's when you experience what you were truly meant to experience, and you have the true human experience. Because I don't know what everybody else is out here is having. They're having a a modified human experience. This ain't a human experience. If you think that you're gonna box yourself in and expect yourself to be in tune with nature by putting yourself in a cult like veganism or vegetarianism or paleo or any of those things, that's not true humanity. Humanity is going with the flow of nature, you know. But, you know, so what I wanted to say about the whole Rawvana situation is, you know, people should really be looking at themselves and asking themselves why they put so much faith and trust into somebody that's online, because this exposes the reality that people online really ain't who they say they are. They could very well be teaching one thing and practicing another. So be very careful about who you choose to follow and who you choose to give your energy to, because not everybody's transparent. A lot of people, once they get to a certain stage, they feel like they got an image to uphold. And you know, when you're talking finances and economy and money, when it comes to that, people throw everything else out the window. When you got bills to pay, people feel like morals and ethics are out of the equation, you know? So you got to take that into consideration when you're choosing to give your energy to people online, because they may very well not be the person that they claim to be, you know? So that's just a reflection for us to be looking at and be like, why did I put all my trust in my faith into one person telling me this story, you know? But it opens up the possibilities for us to be more aware now and to go out and actually do research and test things out on ourselves and be receptive and open and be in tune with our bodies, you know? So it's like, now we can see that now. And that's what the internet is showing us, because a lot of these vegans and a lot of these raw vegans and a lot of these dietary people who put themselves in a box, you're gonna start to see that they're gonna come out the boxes now, because it's like a Pandora's box has been opened, where basically, because that happened, other people are gonna come to the forefront and be like, hey, you know what? You know, I'm not fully vegan either. You know, I'm not doing all the whole veganism thing like that anymore, you know? And it's okay, you know? It's okay as long as we're upfront and honest. And as long as we're on the subject, let me just lead by example, okay? I have, since we came to Hawaii, ate fish and eggs and cheese and dairy, okay? And I didn't do that as a lifelong commitment, but as a temporary trial to just see how my body will react, because I'm not in that box anymore. So I'm able to do that. I have the capacity to do that. And it wasn't just like any cheese or any eggs. It was consciously thought out. The approach is still conscious. The approach is still best quality. The approach is still not overindulging, but it's a trial, it's a test. And to see how my body will react, and see maybe if I felt that my body was needing something that I wasn't giving it, you know? And I have to admit, I had a scallop, and when I bit into that scallop, I did feel like it was a rush. It was like my body was receiving something that it hadn't received for a long time, you know? So when I ate that scallop, I instantly felt like, I don't know if it was because my being hadn't received meat and eaten meat in so long, that it was just like, oh shit, there's that food again, there's that nutrient again, or if there was really something beneficial in that food. But I can honestly say that I did feel some type of my body receiving something, you know? So, but I would have never had that experience would I have stayed in that box the rest of my life, you know? So, and then I tried some, you know, local free range eggs as well. And, you know, I had a similar experience, you know? So, you know, that's something that I did for myself in order so I can experience going outside that box, breaking the boundaries. And because we talk about the Matrix, we talk about Babylon, we talk about you know, the system, but then we go and create these very things for ourselves, because we're so used to being in a box and being part of a system and a Matrix that we create a matrix for ourselves once we get out of that matrix. So it's like we're out of Babylon and we're trying to be healthy. So now then we put ourselves in the vegan matrix. And now we're in this world where everybody's self-righteous vegan and you can't eat meat and you're a bad person and unethical if you do. And so you just went right back into the same trap that you just got yourself out of. See what I'm saying? So this is the new consciousness. And it ain't vegan, it ain't paleo, it ain't low fat, it ain't nothing. It's adaptability and awareness and being attuned to nature and your local environment. So for me, what I have come to terms with is that the most important thing that one can do for themselves is to eat food that is wild, local, fresh, organic from their environment. And that it's not restricted to just being plant-based or just being animal-based. Whatever is available in moderate amounts and while still being in tune with the body is what one should consume as a regular practice. Now, for certain situations, I still believe that things like fasting are beneficial. I still believe that herbs are beneficial. I still believe that we should implement those practices because they're ancient practices. Like indigenous people been using herbs. They've been using herbology and their environment, plants from their environment to stimulate organs and to provide a pathway to healing. And I don't believe nothing heals you. I believe the body, and I know the body heals itself once you give it room, but there are things that you could do to stimulate it through herbs and through different things like that. So I do recommend that. But the foundation for what I choose to eat now is I want to make sure it's local. I want to make sure it's fresh. I want to make sure it's from my environment. When I can tap into that, I know that that's a supreme consciousness than eating vegan food or eating fruit from South America in Europe, and just because it's vegan. I believe that a more supreme way of eating is to eat local, regardless of the kingdom that it comes from, animal or plant, whatever, you know. So that's the new consciousness that I think is coming. It's coming, you know. And so be prepared to hear all these people talk about how they're not fully vegan anymore, and they've opened themselves up, because when the universe sends those light codes and those transmissions, people receive it, and you'll see a stream, a wave of consciousness come through, you know. And that's how I'm living life now. Like, I'm open, I'm flowing with the flow of the universe. I ain't gonna resist it. If I'm in a situation where I gotta eat meat, where I gotta do this, then I'm gonna do it, you know. Why? Because what's more important to me is being in tune with the flow of the universe. Not the flow of Babylon, not the flow of nature, not the flow of popular culture, but the flow of the almighty oneness that everything comes from, the source. And that's the supreme way of thinking. So before you point the finger at Rawvana, before you try to point the finger at anybody else who's got caught or has been exposed for, you know, not being vegan anymore, look at yourself and ask yourself, why do you give up your power? Why do you know, why do you give that up to somebody else? Why don't you look within yourself and choose to be in tune with yourself and research things for yourself, rather than just going out and trying to let somebody be the be-all, end-all for you, like they got all the answers. No one person has all the answers, but we all collectively have all the answers. But we must learn to, you know, tap into the different sources of answers. And that doesn't just mean people, because you could tap into answers through nature, through the food you eat, through just listening to the ocean and being in tune with that. There's many ways to tap into the answers, but the universe wouldn't just put them in one place. That's foolish, you know. It spread them out throughout this reality. So stay open. And, you know, that's all I'm gonna say. I just want to get on here and share that with you. And if you know people that are, you know, shooting shots at Rawvana, just, you know, send them to this video so they could listen, and they might open up their minds, possibly, and realize that being part of a cult is not the way to go. The only real cult that we should be integrated into is nature. And in nature, there is no dietary restrictions in that way. You know, everything's opportunistic, like I said. And, you know, if you still want to do that, that's on you. You know, I'm not going to judge or cast stones, but before you do cast a stone and throw that at somebody, look at yourself and see if maybe there's something that you could be doing better. Because that's the one thing I like to do for myself. How am I, you know, what am I doing that I could be doing better, rather than point the finger, you know? So with that being said, you know, like the video, subscribe if you like the video, leave a comment below, and share the video if you like, you know. And I hope you all the best, you know, stay balanced and keep studying yourself, knowing yourself, and keep on going. All right, peace. See y'all next time.